Welcome to the Paul Farrington Show. Paul and producer Zack celebrating
go.
a Vikings win, a big 23-22 win over the Cardinals. Yeah, a little skull chant works here or there. Producer Zack, are you switching allegiances right now with the
Dolphins?
with the Dolphins losing on Thursday?
Yeah,
maybe you hop on.
I need something to root for now.
It was really funny, Zack. Today, I tweeted out every now and then I'll start tweeting during Vikings games. Normally when it's going really poorly, just because I want to vent to no one. I said, just a really disappointing game for the Vikings. Turnovers, penalties, taking big sacks, everything that happens when you lose to a team you're better than, they are doing today. And from that moment on, they were awesome. and we wound up overcoming the, I believe it was a 19-6 hold that they were in, heading into the fourth quarter. And or in the late in the third quarter. And it was just an awesome comeback. Sam Darnold was unbelievable today. He was 21 for 31, 235 and 2 touchdowns. As the game went on, though, just big throw after big throw. We're sitting here watching the game, and it kind of blown away at a couple of the tight windows that he was fitting the ball into today. Justin Jefferson had the huge catch. Generally, it's crazy at 99 yards, a seven catch, 99-yard performance. So Jefferson feels quiet, but it did feel like a quiet day for him. He has the huge fourth down play. Aaron Jones makes up for the early fumbles. He actually had 2 fumbles today. The second one was the one that he lost. And I don't know if I haven't looked yet, if he was benched for a little bit by O'Connell, maybe just getting a little bit of a break. But Aaron fumbled. He dropped the touchdown on another perfect pass from Sam. And he winds up catching the game winner. Defense comes on late, gets a couple sacks. Is kind of what I predicted in the preview show of how we usually beat the Cardinals with sacking Kyler at the end when he's trying to win the game. And we get a huge win to go to 10-2. I mean, 10 wins is 10-2 is like a legitimately unbelievable season. It's one that you remember for a long time as a fan. And the Vikings are kind of quietly at that record, just a game behind Detroit still, who everyone's talking about being invincible. But Detroit's got their tough stretch coming up. And if Sam Darnold plays like that, they can beat anybody. At the same time, though, the team that you saw in the first half, teams that's turning the ball over. They had Parker Romo finally missed a field goal. He'd been awesome. And we're all talking about how great he is when he finally decides to miss a field goal that at the time looked like it might be costly. And they're just allowing big time sacks in that first half. Every time they had, a third and manageable, just someone come shooting up the middle of the offensive line and crush Sam. And that's when you look at the Vikings and say, all right, how the hell is this team 9-2? How are they possibly beating anybody? And then they turn it on the way they did in the fourth quarter. You're kind of reminded of how they got to this record where, Kevin O'Connell late in games, he's been great since taking over. They showed the Vikings now have 24 one-possession wins over the last 3 years. That's the most in the NFL. It's that's who they are, though. They're they're just a team that breaks your heart, but a team that also leaves you with moments like this where you're just so pumped up because they take it down to the wire week in and week out. A little bit of like Chiefs, except we don't win Super Bowls. That's the Vikings here. But I was thrilled with today. That fourth quarter performance, the defense, it was really all units kicked into high gear when they had to. And you saw that last drive for Arizona when they had been marching up and down the field most of the second half. The defense comes in and gets a couple sacks on that. Jonathan Grenard has been awesome this season. All the additions, Grenard, Van Ginkel, your guy, Zach.
No.
He's awesome. I love Van Ginkel.
Yes.
Just
I do too.
He might be, my brother was saying he might be his next jersey. Cashman, everyone, Gilmore, hopefully he gets better today. I know he left with the hamstring injury. But the Vikings had led up, before that last drive, a 16-play, 66-yard drive, eating up almost 8 minutes for Arizona going into that last possession. So I was thinking, you're up 1, but how confident are you really right now that we're going to get a stop when the defense has had their weak points today? And they were able to get the job done, which was great. Kyler was elusive most of the day, only brought him down one time. But I think Kyler's right there on the verge of a top 10 quarterback in the league. And I know a lot of people feel strongly one way or another about him. Throughout the day today, I thought he was very good. James Conner, your boy Zach, was awesome. He only finished with 68 yards, but had a couple runs that were just really tough. And the 117-yard run where he's carrying defenders, he was good all day. This is an Arizona team at 6-6 who's going to be battling for the NFC West the entire way through from here on out. it's a tight division, and we'll see. Seattle got a big win, come back against the Jets today to get a little separation. But Arizona would be a tough out for anybody, assuming they'd have to win the division to get in going into Arizona, because Kyler Murray can take games over. And today, fortunately, the Vikings defense was able to hold on just a little bit there at the end. It was interesting. Greg Olsen was talking about at the end of the game the decision to kick the field goal and go up 22-16 if you're Arizona, instead of going for the touchdown, 4th and goal from the 5-yard line. And the philosophy, he said, was, and Ziggy was talking about this. He said he 100%, of course, Ziggy, the analytics guy, said that he would have gone for it, because the thought process is, okay, if you kick the field goal, you go up 6, the Vikings are going to be more aggressive on their ensuing drive because they have to score a touchdown or they lose. As opposed to if you go for it, you score a touchdown, game's over, basically, 2-possession game. If you miss it, you're up 3. The Vikings are probably going to play a little more conservative, knowing that they can kick a field goal once they cross over into Arizona territory. It's just the mindset that you have changes a little bit. And my dad's sitting here going like, what the hell is Greg Olsen talking about? Of course you want the field goal, make it a 2-possession game. And it actually kind of played out exactly as Greg Olsen said it might, where the Cardinals went up 6 and the Vikings had a 4th down situation where, okay, if you're up 3, you're probably kicking the field goal there, and Arizona's getting the ball back with a little bit more time in a tie game. Instead, Vikings have to go for it. Jefferson converts. They score a few plays later. You're down 1. You need the field goal or else you lose if you're the Cardinals. So it was kind of an interesting philosophy of, okay, if you're down there in 4th and goal situation, do you want the 2-possession lead, or do you want to go for the 2-possession lead? Or do you want to just get the points on the board? So, I mean, in hindsight, it's 2020. Of course, it looks like now they should have gone for the touchdown and made the Vikings go 95 yards if they didn't convert. But, I bet Dan Campbell in that situation is trotting out Kyler Murray there if he was the coach of the Cardinals and forcing the Vikings. I was happy when they kicked the field goal as well. And that's something I've thought about recently when it comes to those big decisions. What I think the right decision is whatever the opposing fan base would not want you to do. And I did not want Arizona trotting back out there because I wasn't confident we'd get a stop from 5 yards out, especially when you have a guy like Kyler Murray who can extend plays with his legs, especially the way he was today. And Trey McBride was awesome. He had 12 catches for 96 yards. He had a bunch of big 3rd down conversions earlier on the previous drive. Or on that drive, actually, I think it was. So, yeah, you have a real opportunity to put a team away, and it's aggressive, but that's like Notre Dame yesterday is playing for a spot in the college football playoff. They're faking punts. They're going for it on 4th down. When you have the chance to put away teams, especially on the road, I tend to like the aggressive format and put your foot down on their throat. Arizona decided not to do that. So the Vikings sit at 10-2. They next week host the Falcons. So Kirk Cousins comes back to Minnesota. How do you think that's going to go, Zach? Kirk back in Minnesota?
Oh.
Standing ovation?
Primetime Kirk?
No, not primetime Kirk. It's a 1 o'clock Kirk.
Ooh, 1 o'clock Kirk.
Well, 1 o'clock Kirk really wasn't that good today. So
No.
I actually feel, so they lost 17-13, the Falcons. I was just confirming the score there. Oh my God, I didn't realize Kirk had 4 interceptions. So Kirk was 24 for 39, 245, and 4 interceptions today.
Yeah.
I knew he had a few because every time I was looking over at that game, it seemed the Chargers were running the other way with the football. But the Kirk Cousins experiment in Atlanta is not going exactly as planned at 6-6. I mean, the Buccaneers are playing good football too right now. They might catch them. I feel pretty good in that spot where Kirk, not the most mobile quarterback in the world, one could say one of the least mobile quarterbacks in the world, and with the Vikings blitzing schemes, the ability they have to get pressure, big difference going from Kyler Murray and then Caleb Williams the week before to Kirk Cousins in the pocket, and you're able to that defense is able to thrive.
That what do you call it? Brian Flores zero blitz is really gonna.
Oh yeah, I feel much better about a Vikings Falcons matchup than I do Vikings Cardinals, and that's a spot where, a win like this, even though you're 10-2, because of Detroit and because of Green Bay, you need to keep winning because you want, I'd much rather go to Atlanta. This will probably come back and bite me in the ass in the playoffs, but I'd much rather go to Atlanta than have to go to Seattle or Arizona or LA or San Francisco. I do think there's a little gap in those teams. Not a big one, but there is a little gap. And I guess, it kind of sucks saying this about Kirk because I'm a big Kirk Cousins guy, but he is not playing at the level that he was at last year when the Vikings were peaking. I think a lot of that does have to do with Kevin O'Connell, and the Vikings offense is just, it's a great system for quarterbacks to be in. And Kirk has had a few moments in Atlanta this season, but you're not seeing the consistency that he had just a season ago before getting injured. So I feel really good in that spot. But yeah, the Vikings need to keep winning because I want that playoff game in Atlanta if we're unable to win the division. And it's going to be a tight stretch, or a tight race down the stretch here in the NFC North because all the teams keep finding ways to win. The Packers are blocking kicks against the Bears. The Vikings are doing this today. The Lions, the common theme, it actually seems to be it's all against the Bears, isn't it? Like the Vikings in overtime against Chicago, the block kick, and then Thanksgiving, Detroit. But sorry, Bears fans, don't mean to be throwing jabs at you. It's just kind of funny. So it was great to stay 10-2. I'd kind of in the first half, or really third quarter, accepted that, you know what, this is why I don't get my hopes up. This is why I'm a pessimist. This team can't, like right when you believe, that's when they let you down. And this was a classic game where I was like, yeah, they'll kill Arizona. They're not very good. And you're losing by double digits in the second half. You go, well, this is what it's like being a Vikings fan. They rewrote the narrative today, and we're able to get the win. It's just been an awesome season, and trying to enjoy it before it inevitably ends in heartbreak. Which you sign up for this when you become a Vikings fan. But all right, don't want to go on too long. But I feel great after today. Just fun team to root for. Amazingly, Sam Darnold. Oh, one question for you, actually, Zach, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about Sam. Like the Vikings should be extending him right now. They should be having those conversations. They invested in JJ McCarthy, but Sam has been so good that you found your franchise quarterback. It doesn't matter how. If you find them, you find them. I'm not there yet. I mean, today he was awesome, but I'm not ready to sit down and be like, yeah, he's the guy of the future yet. I think you need to let the season play out, and I've been shocked at how quickly people have flipped the switch from not believing in Sam to wanting to hand him a massive contract. And I really hope he gets it, but I'm not there yet. Do you have an opinion on that? As a non-Viking fan,
As a non-Viking fan, I think he's doing great. But again, I wouldn't want the Vikings to get into the Daniel Jones effect.
Yes.
Right, where Daniel Jones had one good season, they paid him $40 million. And
look at it now. I also think Sam's playing better than Daniel Jones was that year, where we said it on this show before. If you go and look at Daniel Jones' stats from the 2022 season, I believe it was, when he got right before he got his massive extension, the numbers are not great. There are 3 games. I can't remember who the third team was, or the third game was, but 2 of his great games were against the Vikings' putrid defense that year. They had like over 300 yards. He was perfect because, well, everyone was. They were allowing 385 yards a game passing the football. It was ridiculous. Never seen people that open. So the Vikings kind of did this to the Giants in some ways. I'm sorry, Giants fans. Like we did contribute mightily. You might not know it, but the Vikings
are all on purpose.
Oh, or on purpose. Maybe it was a calculated move. But yeah, we were mightily involved in the Daniel Jones drama that has happened. I mean, and maybe that's also Saquon leaving too, because you remember Joe Shane's like, we're not paying him to hand the ball off. So maybe the Vikings inadvertently or intentionally got Daniel Jones extended for the Giants and then had Saquon Barkley go to the Eagles. That's horrible. That's diabolical. Genius. Sorry, Giants fans. Long story short, I'm not ready to give Sam the money yet. Let's see what happens in the playoffs. And anybody who's saying give him a massive extension is frankly out of their mind. So yeah, he's great. He's playing great right now, but let's finish the year. And I hope he does well. All right, 23-22, big Viking win over the Cardinals. We'll see you for a Week 13 reaction later today.